Welcome back. If there's one way to demystify sex, is talking freely about it, I would imagine. Our guest has exactly that, written a book titled Sex Education for Teens and Young Adults. He's also a practicing lawyer. He's written this book with his wife, Anne Modoni. My guest, Wanjohi.
Thank you very much,
Was
Jimmy.
my senior in school. Good to see you.
Very well, Jimmy.
So where did you go for St. Teresa's? Where did you go?
Oh, I went to high school and later to the university, did my law, and then practiced. Yes.
University in Nairobi?
Yes, I practiced. Yes, in Nairobi.
Good
yes.
one. Into this book, see, I know you differently, you know. When I saw first you had a DVD,
yes,
and then the book, Tell us why. Sex education is very important to you, so much so that you've actually written about the book to help teenagers and young adults about it.
Well, every parent per se should be a sex educator for the children, because you are born through sex and you had your children through sex.
Right.
So the parent should be the first sex educator. But then again, I looked at the way the parents are conducting sex education,
right,
and I said, no, I must come in as the expert. See, there is the story of Kamau. When Kamau was young, his father usually told him when he was going to high school, I don't want to see you with girls. So Kamau always spent his time with the boys. And then later on, the boys would visit him, they would spend time together, some would even sleep over, and the dad was never worried. After some time, when he was caught out, they became gay. Then when he was caught, his father asked him, why are you doing this? Why do you bring this shame to my house? Kamau told the father, but you told me you don't want to see me with girls.
Salala.
And then there is the story of...
I've heard about that in boarding school.
Yes.
And a lot of people, who grew up in... Anyway, that's a long story. Let's move on.
And then there is the story of Njeri. When Njeri was a small girl, the mother always told Njeri, please remember... No. Please remember, never allow the boys to see your underwear. That was the sex education message. So one time, Njeri climbed a tree. And when she was up, she realized there were some boys below there, and they could see her underwear. So the words of her mother came over to Njeri that, I don't want you to show your underwear to the boys. So what did she do? She removed it. And the boys fell down with laughter. So that is the kind of a sex education that the parents are giving their children. And I said, no, I must come in now as an expert on this area to correct the misinformation and miseducation that the children are given by their parents and by the society and their colleagues in the high schools.
Let me ask, you're a practicing lawyer.
Yes.
How does law and sex education come in? I know that's perhaps a lay question, but let me ask, in terms of sex education is sex education.
Yes.
Many people say it is, there's some people who've been trained for that.
Yes.
What got you interested in becoming a life counselor and a sex educator in terms?
Very well. First thing, I have a 12-year-old daughter. Then again, there was this time you always see you coming into our screens.
Yes.
Wacha mupango wa kando. You're a sex educator by yourself. And then here are the children asking us, Dad,
what does that mean?
Ati muko na mpango ya kando. So I said, no, I have to become an educator for this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What does that take, though? What did it take? I mean, and when you went through the rigmaroles of training,
yes,
what did you find out in terms of sex education in itself in this country?
Well,
what is lacking? Because we do have, people who say they are credible sex educators. Is there something wrong they've done over the years, or?
Well, you see, we have...
Does it even exist?
What we have is what we call sex education in schools. They call it life skill.
Yes.
And it's a little bit on menstruation for the girls.
Yes.
A little bit about where babies come from. And a little bit about the causes of HIV. And then one message, abstinence, chill.
Yes.
But this has been overtaken and overshadowed by other unrestricted use of sex in the internet.
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
What we generally have in the high schools is misinformation about sex and miseducation. See, for example, you have two girls in
yes.
in high schools.
Yes,
two girls. One girl in Form 1. One girl is 13 years old, and the other girl is 16 years old. The girl who is 16 years old has undergone puberty. So she has the curves, her body has developed. And you have the 13-year-old who is still very slender, and every woman wants to have a curvy and a beautiful body.
Right.
So here she asks this 16-year-old, how did you get your curves? And the 16-year-old tells the 13-year-old, I got them through having sex. You know?
That happens, yes.
You remember that trauma in the high school that the sperms causes the hips to grow?
Yes, yes.
And that trauma is still there up to this day. So the 13-year-old girl goes and looks out for boyfriends in order to have sex so that she may have calves. And this is where I come in as a sex educator to correct this misinformation and tell them that there is no relationship with the body growth and the sperms. The body growth is regulated by the puberty and the hormones.
I see, but I'm just thinking in terms. Oh, by the way, sorry, very rude of me. We have about 10 books to give away. So if you'd like, I'd like to know your comments about sex education, where you think we've gone wrong, and the first 10 who send us an SMS will get this amazing book by Wanjohi Gashie. It's on a basic level. I mean, if can one then say, if they really wanted to know how the essence of puberty, is to basically ask their teachers. Is there a missing link in terms of the connection between the student who is inquisitive and the teacher who's meant to give this information? Even as basic as biology, for that matter. You
see, the problem with the adults, the adults themselves have never understood their own sexuality.
What about the teachers?
I'm talking about the teachers. The adult is still the parent.
Yes.
And the parent is still the teacher. They have never understood their own sexuality. And they tend to believe that sexualities in the teenagers does not exist. Right. So they are all in denial. And see here, we don't have a specific class in school that is called sex education class.
No.
This is the same.
Well, not really, no. Well,
yes, we don't have classes for that.
I thought they introduced that in Standard 8, sex education.
You see, what happens is that it's the usual teacher who teaches history or geography, taking some time of the geography lesson or the history lesson, about 5 minutes, to tell the little girls and boys a little about menstruation, about abstinence, chill, and so on.
I see what you mean. Shouldn't we then think of, I mean, and especially in terms of helping to fight HIV and AIDS, which we are doing a lot of work on, shouldn't we then help to strengthen the educational system in terms of then having access, to the students? I would imagine, how many people do you have access to, in terms of students, and you're able to tell them about sex education better than they would have been told by a teacher? Well,
I'm usually invited by the high schools, and I normally do it for free. And before I wrote the sex education book for teens, I had spoken to over 7,000 teenagers for free. And the teachers are amazed because, you see, one thing, the questions that I'm able to answer, the teacher is not able to answer. Say like, there is a student who's asked me in class during those sessions that each time I see the trainee teachers, I get an erection the whole day, and I desire for them. See, that teacher will not be able to talk to this student about this, because one thing, they may victimize the student in the other classes. But me as an educator, and coming from outside, I'm able to tell the student, I'm able to guide and counsel that student.
I see what you mean.
Yes.
Talk about the book.